Happy Monday, Slopers. This is Tim Knight, and I'm going to do a little different approach today. I'm not going to talk about indexes or the market or anything like that. I mean, in my elevator pitch, as it were, on this is that I'm 75% committed and completely short. I have found recently that hedging with some big longs has really worked out almost none of the time. If I think the market's going down, I should be short. Simple as that. So, but I'm not pedal to the metal. So again, 75% committed, all short positions. So what I'm going to talk about today is trading rules, and not the ones that you're familiar with. Let me just show you a couple of quick things on slope. First, before I get into it here, some kind folks have been wondering, because about supporting the site, the ads and so forth, clicking the ads. They're over here, and I guess some browsers actually hide these things. There's some kind of ad suppressor or something, so don't be puzzled if you want to click on the ads and can't find them. They're just being hidden. There's also some below a post and even embedded in the comments. Yeah, it just went there. So anyway, that's where the ads are hiding. As far as trading rules go, under trading, I've got this link to trading rules, and this is a pretty important page to me. And these are, I think, worth reading. But these aren't even the rules I'm talking about today. I just wanted to touch on, and this is very extemporaneous. It'll be very obvious I don't have a script here, but I've got a few things jotted down that I think are three rules that I hear that I think are not that useful, and a few rules beyond these that I think are kind of worth keeping in mind. So let's get started. Here's the first one, and one sees this a lot. Never let a profit turn into a loss. My beef with this, and this is the general theme with all three of these, what I call silly rules, is I just don't see its utility. Does this mean, for example, that if you enter a position, you have a $50 profit, it starts sinking and it becomes a $20 loss that you instantly get out for that reason and that reason alone? What if it moves on to be a $3,000 profit, ultimately? It's illogical to me to deem that anything that is exhibited of profit at some time must be abandoned if it becomes even somewhat of a loser. In fact, this rule implies that you don't even allow it to become a loss. I guess if a profit turns into a smaller profit, then you hurriedly get out. This flies in the face of all discipline, I think. So I've seen this one a lot. I don't like it. Next one. I see this one quoted up quite a bit. Never short a boring market. How come? And who dictates that a market is boring? I believe last Friday, that is, I guess the just one prior trading day, I believe I read it was the lowest trading volume of the year. That's pretty boring. It also was a superb time to short the hell out of everything. So the rule, it has no criteria, and it doesn't make any sense. No one's explained, well, when a market is boring, the following circumstances exist, and those circumstances are deadly for a short seller. It doesn't make any sense. Actually, I've got four silly rules. Here's the third one. Don't lose money. I mean, there have been entire books written about this, like rule number one, or like, everybody's favorite uncle, Warren Buffett. There are two rules to trading. One, don't lose money. Two, don't forget rule one. Oh, screw you. That's idiotic. Don't lose money. All right, here's some other advice. Don't enter a bad marriage. Don't take on a job that you dislike. Don't become friends with someone who will betray you later. I mean, duh. This is stupid. Don't lose money? Well, of course you're going to lose money sometimes. It happens. What kind of nonsense is this? I'm going to try to keep the obscenities out, but this just pisses me off. Don't lose money? Idiotic. How is that useful to anyone trading? How will that guide you at all? And now I'm going to enter some very dangerous territory here, because this is very dear to some slopers here. Price pays. Again, what on earth am I supposed to do with this information? Now, I think that what's trying to be said here is don't have a bias. In other words, a bullish bias doesn't pay, a bearish bias doesn't pay, market movement pays. Okay, that makes sense. Well, just say don't be biased. Why not make that your rule? Price pays? Well, Breathing provides for life. Water is essential for living. What other obvious maxims can we come up with? Price movement creates profits and losses. Indeed it does. Yes, it does. Electricity powers computers. I mean, I can't use this information. Price pays. I don't think anybody can. If you want to say don't be biased, say don't be biased. That's all there is to it. Now, what I do think is a little useful are a few that I just dreamed up. Patience pays. Kind of a nice alliteration. This I agree with. Now, these aren't things I've read. I just kind of thought, well, what's something more helpful I could say instead of just bitching? Patience does pay. This is something I have a lot of trouble with. I think that a lot of traders do have trouble being patient, especially on the long side. But I remember reading, it's very true, that the reason that we can't stand leaving money on the table is that there's nobody there to blame. So if you enter a bad trade and it goes badly for you, there's all kinds of folks to blame. And I know I've got some of this in me too, like, oh, it was this Elliott wave count, or it was this indicator, it was this guru that I read, or it was Ben Bernanke, or this, that, and the other. However, when you exit a position, let's say at a profit, and the profit gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, well, you can't really blame anybody for that except yourself. So being patient is the antidote to that, just hanging on for a logical, rational reason to exit instead of just taking the money and running. This one I like. Do more of what works and less of what doesn't. I mean, if you're at all an active trader, you do things, different things. You trade different instruments. Some techniques, some symbols, some methods, some times of day, who knows what, work better than others for a person. We're all different. And my view is that our personalities interact with the market in different ways, just like our personalities interact with each other in different ways. Finding how the gears between you and the gears of the market mesh is, to me, a lifelong journey. And, for example, I found certain symbols, I'll do several trades with them and they always go wrong. Well, forget it. Just that symbol and I just don't get along. I'm not going to trade that anymore. Cycles. I was really interested in cycles for a while. I was fascinated by the notion that one could kind of see the future with cycles. Hasn't really worked. Elliott wave. I was very intrigued by that, terribly intrigued. I've looked at all kinds of different methods and sites and commentaries. I still read it. I confess I'm still interested, but it doesn't have the sort of religious sway on me that it used to. So not using that really. Anyway, now the last one isn't a rule at all. It's just two simple words, and maybe this just works for me, but I have found these words have saved me a lot of trouble. Looking at a chart, and I'm drawn to it. I want to trade it. I want to place a trade on it. And I just ask myself, this isn't even a question. It's just a phrase. Not particularly. This is, I'm trying to talk myself out of this chart. It's like, well, it's got this property. It's got that property. It's got the other. Well, not particularly. And I just throw those two words in my head. And about half the time, my brain sort of says, you're right. It isn't particularly good for this or that reason. And I just think this has been just a gentle way of coaxing myself out of seducing myself into a trade that really maybe isn't such a good idea. So again, maybe this is just Tim Knight, that it works for me. But I found some little hint that you throw in before you step forward with action might be wise. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. And hello. Dr. Scott, wait, let's adjust you here. It's all wrong. Anyway, yeah. That's it. I really just wanted to share a few thoughts, get that off my chest. Hope I haven't upset anybody. I doubt it. It's been a pretty gentle discussion here. And I wish you good luck for the rest of the month. Godspeed and God bless.